Hello, my seventh graders. Today we are going to practice unit rates. So we want to make sure we're very good at taking a rate, a ratio with measurements, like $25 in 5 hours, and converting them into unit rates. But more than that, because that's actually just division. So today we are interested in making sure we understand all the different ways that you can write unit rates and how to choose the one that makes the most sense. So what you need for today is a piece of paper. Here's my piece of paper, and here's what I've done with my piece of paper, what we've done many times, so you can pause me if you need to, but you fold it in half once, twice, and 3 times to get to this point where you have 8 boxes on the front and on the back. So get your paper folded, and then let's look at how we're going to set this up. So this is going to be a little bit different. So to set this up, I'm actually going to trace this first horizontal fold across here. Because this first box, and I went a little high on that, that was weird. But this first top section actually is all going to be problem number 1. And it all involves this particular piece of information. You ready? I'm gonna write this down. You make 8 masks. So you're sewing masks. Have any of you done that? I've been pretty into sewing my own masks lately. You make 8 masks and use 2 yards of fabric. So we're gonna write that statement up there. Now, the reason we have these 2 columns here is because we are actually going to calculate 2 separate unit rates based on that information. And I'm gonna help you through the first couple, and then we're gonna kind of share the load a little bit and see if I can do one and you can do the other, okay? So the first thing you need to do, and we can call it part A over here, and then we'll do part B over here, but all of it has to do with this information up here. If you make 8 masks, and use 2 yards of fabric, I want you to calculate a unit rate 2 different ways, and pay attention to how I write this language here. First, I want you to find the masks per yard. See the order of that language? And then over here, I want you to find, are you ready for this? Find the yards per mask. Same words, different order, which means different meaning. Okay, so let's see how this changes things just by changing the words. So if I find the masks per yard, that means I am going to start with a rate that puts masks on top. The order of these words here tell you the order of your ratio. So if they say masks per yard, then I'm going to put 8 masks over 2 yards. Okay, that's a rate. But it's not masks per yard. Remember, if they say per yard, how many yards are they talking about? Oh, only 1. So if they say masks per yard, that means they want me to take this rate and turn it into a unit rate. We're going to write this 2 different ways. How do we turn things into unit rates? Division, division, divide, divide, division, divide, divide, division, divide, divide. How do we do it? We divide. So 8 divided by 2 is 4. So what that means is 4 masks for 1 yard. So that's how we're going to show that the rate turned into a unit rate, but we're also going to get used to writing this in one more way. And I'm going to change colors one more time just because it's so fun for me. So I just found they worded this as masks per yard. Here's another way. This absolutely shows the unit rate. 4 masks for 1 yard. We can also write it like this. 4 masks. That word is weird to say, masks. 4 masks per, and that slash means per, so I don't even have to write the word per, yard. This thing in purple right here has the same meaning as this thing in green. Mathematicians really like to write it this way because it's just a little bit more clear. You can kind of put it as a sentence. This is 4 masks for 1 yard, or 4 masks per yard. Now, when I switch the wording over here, here's what we've got now. Find the yards per mask. Oh, if they change that, that means my rate from the start needs to change. So I'm going to do 2 yards over 4 masks. And some of you might look at this and say, oh, Miss McGowan, that doesn't change anything. Does it change anything? Oh, absolutely it does. It changes things, first of all, because I wrote the wrong number. That's 8 masks. 2 yards for 8 masks. This changes things because if this is division, division is not what we call commutative. Division, if you change the order, you change your answer. 8 divided by 2 is 4, but 2 divided by 8 is not 4. What's 2 divided by 8? Well, you can type it in your calculator. 2 divided by 8. 2 divided by 8 is 0.25, or 1/4. It's not 4, it's 1/4. You can use the decimal or the fraction, it doesn't matter to me, but it's 0.25 yards for 1 mask. 0.25 yards for 1 mask, which means that's, and I'm going to turn it back to a fraction, because if you've ever gone to, you know, Joann's or anywhere and purchased fabric, when you bring it up to the table, you give it to them in fractions. That's 1/4 of a yard per mask. So it's the exact same scenario. Either way, you made 8 masks and you used 2 yards of fabric, but the way that we calculate the unit rate changes the meaning a little bit. This tells me that I can make 4 masks with 1 yard of fabric, and this tells me that with 1/4 of a yard, I can make 1 mask. Okay, so it's the same scenario, but slightly different meanings. To make sure we get that, let's try this. Let's try another one together. Here we go. Number 2. Number 2, let's make this our story. You finished a book, so make sure you're writing all this down on your paper. You finished a book in 15 hours, and that book had, so I'm going to write with 375 pages. So this book was 375 pages long, and you finished it in 15 hours. And I'm going to draw this line across here to show where my space is for this one. Okay, the first thing I want you to find is so we're going to put part A here. Let's find hours per page. And then can you guess what we're going to find on B? On B, we're going to find pages per hour. Okay. All right, let's give this a try. So if they give me the words hours per page, I'm going to put 15 hours. I don't know why I started all the way over there. 15 hours over 375 pages. How do you find a unit rate? You divide. Divide, division, division, divide. Okay, and it's always the top divided by the bottom. Just like when we were converting before, we know that a fraction means top divided by the bottom. That's always the order this goes in. So I'm going to go 15 divided by 375. And that means it's 0.04 hours for 1 page. Let's just times by 60. That's 2.4 minutes, just in case you wanted to make it more sense. Make it make more sense. Okay, if I switch and do pages per hour, then I'm going to do 375 pages over 15 hours. You can use accepted abbreviations. Don't make up your own though, that's very confusing for me. And now I divide and I go 375 divided by 15, 25, that's 25 pages in 1 hour. So look at how this changes our meaning. So I'm going to write my statement like I did in green up there. This one, if I calculate it this way, what I'm saying is that that's 0.04 hours per page. That's how many hours it will take me to read one page. This one is 25 pages per hour. That's how many pages I can read in 1 hour. Now let me ask, as I read those out loud, did one of those sound more normal to you? 0.04 hours per page or 25 pages per hour? Sometimes you'll hear one and you're like, that one sounds weird, and the other one sounds normal. To me, this one sounds very normal. You'll see when time is involved, hours, minutes, seconds, whatever. You can calculate it either way, but usually when you put time on the bottom, it sounds like something that makes more sense to us because it's something we calculate more. Okay, moving on. Number 3. Here's what we're gonna do for number 3. Okay, so number 3, what if I tell you that 12 chocolate bars cost $15? Okay, that's your statement. Go ahead and write it down. 12 chocolate bars cost $15. Here's what I want you to find. I want you to find cost per bar. Okay. I am actually going to find for you, this is weird, but bars per dollar. And even as I write them and say them, doesn't your brain start to go, one of those sounds normal and one of those does not? So here, I'm going to trace on my fold so I know how much space that I have. Okay, I'm gonna find this one for you and you can write it down with me. So if I'm doing bars per dollar, that's 12 chocolate bars. My rate setup should follow the order of these words. If they said bars first, then I need to put bars on top. 12 bars over $15. And then I'm going to do division. And I'm going to go 12 divided by 15. 0.8. That's 0.8 chocolate bars over $1, which means I can get 0.8 of a chocolate bar per dollar. Which would be so weird if you went in the grocery store and you're like, I only have $1. How much of that chocolate bar can I get? And they like cut off a fifth of it and give you 4/5. Probably not gonna work that way. But what I'm gonna do right now is I am going to just sit here for a minute and I'm going to let you calculate the cost per bar. Ready, set, go. Did you start like that? And then did you remember this word that Ms. McGowan has said 1,000 times now? That this is division, top divided by the bottom. That's 1.25, $1.25 for 1 bar, which means this cost per bar, cost means dollars, that's why I started with that, is $1.25 per bar. Really, one of those makes a lot of sense and one of them doesn't. So what you'll find as you work through your unit rates, we're calculating them both ways on this, but what you'll find as we move forward is that time almost always goes on the bottom and money almost always goes on the top because that's what we get in real life scenarios and it just sounds more correct to us. Okay, number 4. Here's a scenario on number 4. It snowed 20 inches in 5 hours. It snowed 20 inches in 5 hours. First, you're going to calculate inches per hour. Then you're going to calculate hours per inch. And this time, I want you to do both of them. Okay? I'm going to give you just the very first step. Inches per hour. 20 inches in 5 hours. See how I followed the order of the words? 20 inches over 5 hours. This one switches it around. 5 hours over 20 inches. You got a couple minutes to finish those two problems. Where's it go? Boo! Did I scare you? Keep going. Ta-da! How'd you do? So, when I did my division this way, 20 divided by 5, what that means is it's 4 inches per hour. 4 inches of snow every hour. That's a lot. Hours per inch, when I divided this way, I got 0.25, which is 1/4, but it's 0.25 hours per inch. And 1/4 of an hour, 60 divided by 4 is 15 minutes. That means it took 15 minutes to snow 1 inch. And which one sounds more, this one to me sounds more like something we'd actually say, 4 inches per hour, again, because time is usually on the bottom, because we usually say per hour, per day, per month, per year. That just makes more sense. Okay, here's what's going to happen now. Everybody flip your paper over. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give you, we're going to set this up, ready? I'm going to draw these lines across here. This is where number 5 is going to go, so I'll write it up here. Let's go ahead and write it while we're at it. Number 5 says you drove 120 miles with 4.8 gallons of gas. I'll come back and show you what I want you to find on that one in just a second. I'm going to do everything in my blue pen first. Pause me at any point if you need to, if I'm writing or moving too fast. I'm going to trace this line right here. This is going to be number 6. Number 6 is telling me, okay, there are 132 grams of sugar, good old addictive sugar, grams of sugar in 12 cookies. Okay, that's the statement for number 6. One more line I'm going to draw right here on this last fold. This is number 7. Number 7, let's say this. You use 16 pencils, oh goodness, in 5 weeks. You use 16 pencils in 5 weeks. Okay, and last statement to get written down here, number 8. 22 ounces of cereal, so it's a 22-ounce box of cereal. 22 ounces of cereal costs $4.39. Okay, one more thing I'm gonna have you write down, and then you guys are gonna try these. Here's what I want you to do with all of these statements. First, up here, I want you to find miles per gallon. That's part A. Part B is gallons per mile. You're going to find both of those. Use the front side of this paper to show yourself how you're doing that. So give yourself a reference. Okay. All right. This one, you are going to find grams of sugar per cookie. And then you're going to find cookies per gram. Grams per cookie, cookies per gram. Okay? This one, part A, you're going to find pencils per week. And then part B, weeks per pencil. All right, and last one. First, find ounces per dollar. Okay, ounces per dollar. And then part B, find dollars per ounce. Okay, we worked through 4 examples together on the front. Use those 4 as kind of a guide to help you out on these. Your job is to finish the back side, and then you're just going to upload a picture of the work that you did on the back side. If you get stuck or need any help, by all means, ask your math teacher.